quick for everybody in here and those out there suffering and all our loving family and friends, and to invite a loving God in here. First and foremost, I'd like to thank the committee and for putting this on for so many years. It's always an honor and a privilege to share my message for Narcotics Anonymous. And if you'll learn quickly in the next 20 minutes, if it was up to me, I wouldn't be standing here. Thank Phil for calling me, and it's kind of ironic that when he told me that I was selected, he said, your topic's going to be, I don't have to think twice about this. Now, I will say that I didn't have to think twice about saying yes, because I learned the hard way. I had stopped doing things like this many years ago. In fact, if I look over there at that second banner there that says, keep coming back, I spoke that year. My topic was keep coming. I got to speak on that topic, keep coming back. And so not too many people get a second chance like I did. In fact, if I sugarcoat it, I say I've had a couple chances. I've had many chances. I'm blessed to be here. It's only through God's grace. And I believe the only reason I'm standing here is to tell you not to do the things that I did that led me to the relapse a year after I did that. I remember being up at the convention, and we stayed in the old Swiss cabin up there, and I remember, I don't know if it was Phil or someone else, but they said, I know when you pray, it's for one day, but somebody said to me one time, pray you're here next year. Because for whatever reason, there's people that aren't going to make it back here. And I was one of them. When I spoke at this thing a year after that, I was one of them that didn't make it back here that following year. In fact, when I went out, it took me 7 years to get 1 year clean again. That's why I say I'm blessed to be here. And, at the end of that topic where it says, I don't have to think twice about this question, I noticed it said, I. In the reading in here, if I look at the basic text, I'm shaking. That's God trying to shake the lies out of me. Because I can lie. Believe me, I can lie. I know more about this one. I can talk more about what I quit doing than what I do today. It says, most of us do not have to think twice about this question. We know. Now, the reading, it says, it had a little question mark after I. I get high. We recover. If I'm left to my own devices, I'm not going to be standing here. I've had jails, institutions. I'm lucky I'm not dead. I had it twice. Phil said your topic says twice. I had to go back to jail 2 times after the first 2 months I did way back in 1994. And talk about, I had a therapist this past time. My clean date's December 8th, 2011, so I don't like to say God willing anymore. He's always willing. If I remain willing, I'll be celebrating 5 years again. What a blessing. And he called it skewed thinking. And I call it stinking thinking. And you'd think that when I started having thoughts and using again that I wasn't sharing with anybody. I have relapsed on alcohol, and I had a thought of drinking for a whole year after I spoke at that thing and didn't share with someone. I'm convinced if I'd have pulled my buddy Phil here to the side, or Walt, or any of my support group, and I would have told them, I'm convinced that wouldn't have had to happen. Why did I hold on to that? That's stinking thinking. In my mind, I hadn't picked up yet. I was in insane thinking already. And I would ride past the jail when I was working a good recovery program, and I would go, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing so I don't have to go back there. Well, when I had a thought of drinking again, and I knew there was probably eventually was going to happen, I was just waiting for the right opportunity, whatever I thought that was. And I would think, jail wasn't that bad. Now, isn't that insane? What it did tell me was I would do 3 of the next 7 years in prison, and I would do a state sentence. Also, another one that I like to mention, I'm in state prison. I went up to a couple meetings, wasn't really working the program, not working with a sponsor. I would go to church, but I always had this other stupid thought. Well, I deserve to get high again after I get out. Isn't that insane? I'm doing a state sentence for something that because of my direct result of my addiction, I'm doing 1.5 to 3 and ended up doing 2 upstate and a year in the county. And here I am thinking that I deserve to get high. And the first day that I got, not when I got out, but I went to a CC center. The first day I got out of the CC center, I'm getting high again. That's insane thinking. That's skewed thinking. I'd like to talk real quick about some of the stuff that I quit doing that led to that relapse, because I believe my relapse started I relapsed in June of 05, and I spoke here in October of 04. So I was even second questioning that when I looked at that date today there. I thought, I wonder if I had that thought already, even when I came to this and shared. I'm trying to share with the newcomer, keep coming back, and I know it was soon after that if I didn't. Because I took a second job on, and my sponsor said, "Don't do that, Terry." He said, I was having financial problems, and he said, "Have faith, God will provide for you." Well, I went against his word. I took a second job on, and I'd like to talk a little bit about how, I wasn't. Definitely wasn't working the steps because I wasn't living them anymore. And I like to go from 12 down to 1, but I know I don't have time to go through all them. So I'd like to say I definitely didn't have that spiritual awakening as a result of the steps anymore because I wasn't practicing spiritual principles anymore. I wasn't being honest with people. I wasn't being honest with a sponsor, support. Today one of the things I do is I try to talk about what I'm thinking and doing and thinking about too. And I was taught, and it works how and why in step 1 that, I need to practice these spiritual principles, honesty, surrender, acceptance. And if I'm not doing that, at least a little bit every day or something for my recovery every day, that I'm going backwards. I'm not going forward. And, I quit helping people. I had like 2 commitments, H&I commitments. I quit doing that. I didn't have any time. I was working 2 jobs, I had my wife. I always heard it. Whatever you put in front of your recovery, you're going to lose. I lost her. I lost the 2 jobs. Almost lost my life. Went back to jail. Definitely wasn't practicing these principles. I couldn't even practice them in here. How could I practice them out there? I wasn't practicing these principles in my affairs. I didn't know nothing about open-mindedness. I was closed-minded again. I thought I knew better, and I can't put myself down totally because denial was that strong. I was in denial again. This disease had a hold of me even before I picked up. I didn't see it. And, how can I have a conscious contact with the God in my understanding, which I believe today has carried me through to this day and all this stuff, when I'm not praying and meditating? And guess what the last thing, when I go the whole way down to 1, the last thing that entered my mind, I'm not powerless anymore. I can drink again, maybe. Well, guess what? Before I even did it, just because I knew in my head I was going to drink, I knew that it would be only a matter of time before I'd be hitting the pipe again. And I was. And I relapsed in June of 05, and I think it was about 3-4 months later that I picked up track again, and here I was off to the races, and the ends are always the same: jails, institutions, and death. And on the last, I went to, like I said, I went to state prison in January, or went to the county in January of 07. I had 102 bad checks totaling $14,000, and that was only a small part of my run. And I ended up doing, almost a year in the county and 2 years upstate. And, here I am, like, I'm living, like, for 2 years after I got out of state prison, from 2009 until I got it clean in December of 2011. And here I'm thinking I can do crack just once in a while, And on Friday nights that would be my night to get high, and I think I could just do it once a week. And I saw how powerless I was. I got this check one time on a Wednesday night, and I had to give a urine the next morning. I couldn't stop myself. I went straight to the bank. I had 2 dealers coming at one time. Thank God. Guess what? That was the last night I got high. My PO caught me the next morning. I always call it the beer that saved me. He saw a beer in the refrigerator, and he said, "Terry, I got to go get your urine test." I said, "Don't bother, I'm dirty." Little did I know that would be a blessing. That would be the last night I got high. And when I told him, "Don't go get that," he said, "You're probably going back to jail today. This is your 3rd strike." And I could have went back to state prison, and I'm thinking, how can I get rid of him? I want to go do what I want to do with him today. And I blurted out the words, "I need help." And I looked around the room, and I'm like, where'd that come from? 5 minutes ago, I wanted to get rid of him. I wanted to go get high again. And when I went in front of the judge that sentenced me to my state sentence, I had to see him because I was on state probation. And the PO said, "Your Honor, he asked me for help." And I didn't get into the fact, it wasn't me, that was my God. And but he looked right at me, and he said, "What would you like me to do?" And I said, "How about rehab in a halfway house?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "That's what we're going to do. We're going to evaluate for you for rehab." And I got to go to after 3 months in jail. I got to go to White Deer Run for 3 weeks, and then I went to another halfway house up on the mountain above Uniontown in Farmington, right where the retreat used to be, right by there. Phil came up and shared, I hope he don't mind me saying, he came up and shared for me when I was a patient there, and today I get to work there. What a blessing. It saved my life, and now I got 2 guys with me. I don't think that, thanks for coming, Adam and Tony. They've been through the house, and they're part of my support, and they came with me today. And I tell them guys, hey, you help me more than I help you. I get to take them to a meeting in a van, and I get paid, and I get to get a meeting in. What a blessing. I don't know how much more time I have, Phil. I wanted to read a couple things real quick. The first one is the first paragraph after the introduction in Who is an Addict. It says, "Those of us who have found the program of Narcotics Anonymous do not have to think twice about this question. Who is an addict? We know. But guess what? If you're not practicing spiritual principles in your life, I hope you don't mind me saying you, I mean us. If I'm not living the steps or working the steps, you have to work them to live them, to learn to live them. If I'm not praying, if I'm not talking to my support, if I'm not working the steps with my sponsor, talking to my sponsor, if I'm not doing things like I'm doing today, if I'm not even another thing I quit doing, riding people to meetings. Oh, I'm too tired. I got to lay on the couch. I got to work my second job tonight. The therapeutic value of one addict helping another is without parallel. The newcomer is the most important person because without you, you'll find out hopefully someday you got to give it away to keep it. We can only keep what we have by giving it away. It says, we know. If I'm left to my own devices, I don't know. But we know, if along with the loving God and, the program of Narcotics Anonymous, I don't have to use today. What a blessing. Freedom from active addiction. When I get up, I don't have to worry about ways and means to get more. I'm going to hear, and the only reason I'm standing here is to tell you, the newcomer and all you, don't do what I did. Don't lapse in your program. Be vigilant. I was complacent for so long. I heard at a meeting the other night, a guy shared, I know about what not to do. I don't know too much about what to do. But I know the things that I quit doing, that made me complacent, and today I got to be the opposite. I got to be vigilant. I got to do something for my recovery every day. I got to pray. I don't think I've missed a day since I was at the halfway house that I didn't at least say in the morning, God help me, and thank Him at night. That's another thing I quit doing. And, I've read it. I've already said it. We know. I'm going to end with a little thing I got out of the Just for Today the other day. But first, I'm going to say what I did 12 years ago. The last thing I said when I closed was, if you're new or if you're not new and you're sitting in here and you don't want to be one of them people like I was that wasn't there the following year, keep coming back. That's how I ended my talk, I remember 12 years ago. And I wanted to read this, and I'm going to close with that. I wrote this sentence myself, but you've all probably heard it. It says, if we are not growing in our recovery, we are probably going backwards. And this is from the Just for Today reading from September 24th. But as we grow in recovery, so will our understanding. We'll begin to see that the only limits to God's love and grace are those we impose by refusing to step out of the way. The loving God we come to believe in is infinite, and the power and love we find in our belief is shared by nearly every recovering addict around the world. Thanks for letting me share.
Thank you.